North Korea says it is now open to holding talks with South Korea for the first time in 2 years. This is coming after the U.S. and South Korea agreed to postpone joint military exercises until after next month's Winter Olympics in South Korea. President Trump says he is hoping this will pave the way for future communication between the two nations.
Well, I would love to see them take it beyond the Olympics. We have a very good relationship with South Korea. I would love to see it go far beyond the Olympics. Absolutely. And at the appropriate time, we'll get involved. But I like the idea if they're dealing on the Olympics, that should be between those two countries.
Joining me now, Ambassador Adam Ereli, former U.S. ambassador to Bahrain and former State Department deputy spokesperson. Ambassador, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
How instrumental is President Trump in precipitating these talks?
Well, I think that President Trump's tough talk certainly got everybody's attention. And also, let's be clear, I mean, the talks are limited to North Korea's participation in the Winter Olympics. And so, you know, it might be a bit of a stretch to link them to the nuclear issue. However, you know, it clearly shows a willingness to compromise by all sides. First of all, for North Korea to even agree to talks. Second of all, the United States and its South Korean allies to postpone the military exercises, which have always been a sort of thorn in the side of North Korea.
Right.
So look, the context is changing. That's a positive thing. Whether it will go beyond the narrow scope of the talks is another question.
Yeah, but as you said, Olympics, it's the hook, okay? We're talking about the Olympics. But once the talks begin, do you think either side will try to accomplish or establish something else besides the Olympics participation by North Korean athletes?
Yeah, I certainly expect so. I mean, look, everybody's kind of scared. I mean, we've come to the brink of conflict with a lot of heated rhetoric and tough talk that has everyone really worried. So there's an incentive for everybody to take a step back and look at ways to de-escalate the situation and return to negotiations. There are only two ways to deal with this, either by talks or by force, and force is certainly the least desirable outcome.
A very scary scenario. Listen, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson was speaking on this meeting. We only have the audio version, but I want to play it for you.
This development that's come about, the meeting between North-South, we do believe it's an indication that the pressure campaign is causing the leadership, the regime in North Korea, to begin to think about this can't go on forever.
I don't know if you heard, Ambassador, but what Secretary Tillerson said, he says, I think this development that has come about, the meeting between the North and the South, we do believe that's an indication that the pressure campaign is causing the leadership, the regime in North Korea, to begin to think about this can't go on forever. So depending on what is discussed at that meeting, what is the President's and Secretary Tillerson's play? I mean, especially, Ambassador, if Kim Jong-un is saying, no matter what, I'm keeping my nukes.
Well, it's going to be very difficult to have them give up the nukes, but you can still put certain restrictions and conditions and offer certain incentives, frankly, that the North Koreans badly need and badly want. And I agree completely with what Secretary Tillerson said, which is that, you know, our tough talk and our pressure has started to produce some kind of movement on the North Korean side. The other element that we've got to talk about, obviously, is the role of China, the role of Russia, the role of the other countries involved. And I think that behind the scenes, Trump and the leader of China have been working hard to bring increased pressure to bear, which is what on North Korea, which is what Secretary Tillerson was referring to, and we're seeing the results of that. But as you say, you know, there's a long way between now and a deal that would reassure South Korea, the United States, and the neighbors in the region about North Korea's peaceful intentions and reducing the threat that it poses to the peninsula and to the Pacific.
Right. And with that, I'm going to add Japan to your list. You mentioned China, Russia. They're going to be watching and listening to this, what the outcome of this meeting. What do you think China, Russia, Japan, what do you think they're expecting or hoping to transpire during these talks?
Well, I think the first thing that really everybody has to has to look forward to is that the talks between North Korea and South Korea on the Olympic participation produce something. I mean, look, if they fail, there's no incentive or no encouragement to go beyond them and talk about nuclear issues. So, number one, I think everybody's going to be supporting South Korea and giving them the backing they need to provide North Korea the assurances it needs or the encouragement it needs to participate in to reach agreement on the Olympic participation. And then I think what we'll be looking for is some kind of negotiating process or structure that would allow other countries like the United States, like Russia and China, to participate in a broader set of talks on a broader set of issues.
Okay, well, there's more to talk about. Of course, you've got the Paralympics there in March as well, so that everybody's going to be watching to see what Kim Jong-un does and how he behaves after that point. Ambassador Ereli, thank you very much for your expertise.
Thank you. Appreciate it.